Hazel Shannon is one of Australia's most experienced three-day event riders, and incredibly she won for the fourth time the elite competition at the Adelaide Equestrian Festival on her rising 20-year-old thoroughbred Willinga Clifford. What an inspiration she is to future riders, and Clifford himself has proven the longevity of this incredible breed. Thanks for having us here and to meet not only yourself but also the wonderful Willinga Clifford, and congratulations, the Adelaide 5-star win, to win 4 years worth of the elite competition at that incredible festival. It's just something that, you know, I'm not sure if it'll be done again.
No, it's something I never expected to happen on any horse. And Clifford's been a bit of a surprise the whole time. It took a while to realise what sort of potential he had, but it's been an incredible journey, and he's really a special horse.
Tell us a bit about your background, because, you know, you were born in Queensland and, you know, you rode stock horses. Your father was very involved in that scene, and your mother sort of, I guess, had the more English style of you know, teaching you to ride. But where did you first start riding thoroughbreds?
I think Mum probably introduced me to thoroughbreds. She would get them off the track when we were younger as a hobby. She's horsey and enjoyed a bit of dressage and jumping, and a thoroughbred off the track is a great place to go for a horse that does that kind of job. So I was around them from quite a young age. Clifford is my first one that I've had from the beginning and produced to the top of the sport. I think a lot of Australian riders have, throughout their careers, have had, in all disciplines, have had time with thoroughbreds. They're really such a versatile breed. They've been and done every sort of discipline.
His background too. I mean, he was sort of you know, he wasn't necessarily bred to be a champion, but I just love his pedigree. Passing shot, I had to look up. His racing name was Side Spin. Passing shot, which goes back through Quick Score to the great racing broodmare influence Easy Date, who's the dam of Snippet. So there's some great sort of speed within his family, but he's a big horse too, isn't he?
I think as an eventer we consider him on the smaller side, yeah. But he's a big thoroughbred. Probably, you know, has a bit more bone than some of them. I don't look at the breeding too much. I'm not very educated on the thoroughbreds breeding. I just liked him as a horse, and he is great for the discipline of eventing. So
take us back the early days. How did you come across him, and when did you first start to think, hey, this is a pretty elite sort of a horse as a young horse?
Well, it was very much just a right place at the right time. I was starting my eventing career, and I was a working pupil for Heath and Rosie Ryan in Newcastle. And Clifford had finished his very short-lived attempt at racing. His breeder sent him to her sister, who was my neighbour, and that's how I started riding him. And we started at the beginning in the lower levels of eventing. I enjoyed him from the beginning. Heath, who I was working for, who was experienced in eventing and was sort of my source of information and guidance, and it took a long time for anyone to realise how sort of special Clifford was. He was very much a little more of a pony clubber looking kind of horse, great temperament, quiet, anyone could ride. He was used as a bit of a school horse at our place until I got my hands on him, and then wasn't giving him up very easily.
So what was it that you felt, because obviously a lot of people when they take on these thoroughbreds, and you know, they're taking them through the early stages of eventing and the three disciplines, to know that there was something good about him, what was it that stood out to you?
I think I was very much, I had no preconceived idea of what a top horse was at this stage. He's my first horse to get to this level. So I think in hindsight, his temperament's always been a huge thing. He's just 100% try every day, 100% try. like that's a pretty big deal for a horse to give you that kind of effort every day, and so he improves really quickly. He's learnt to be very good in all 3 disciplines. Physically, he's also good in the 3 disciplines, so that combined with this mental willingness has really sort of got him to where he is today, yeah.
Well, he'd won the 3, elite Adelaide events, but now with the 5-star this time round, it had been, a number of years in between those wins. What were you thinking sort of at this competition? Because obviously he's an older horse now.
Yep.
Were you feeling as if he still had it in him? Obviously you must have to have competed him, but were you surprised at how well he went in Adelaide this year?
I think he just went and did his normal job. I'm surprised that he's still, competing at the top of the sport at this age, but it was a pretty carefully judged decision to enter him in this. I would never have asked something that I thought he wasn't up to at this age. So his preparation was great, he was feeling fit, he was feeling as good as ever, and he just went and did his normal job, which is a very Clifford thing, to go out and just get the job done. A lot of horses moving from the 4-star to the 5-star, they not necessarily struggle, but they can notice the step up, the extra distance, the extra size of the jumps, whereas Clifford just goes and does the same thing. And he went and did the same thing at Adelaide, and I was really happy with him, but I wasn't surprised either, yeah.
And then the show jumping, again being an older horse, but this is racing people don't really understand, I guess, when you have horses racing at 2, 3, 4 and often retired, that there are a lot of eventers competing, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's a lot more normal. But the show jumping, I heard one of the commentators talking about, sometimes the horses have jelly legs because they had the exertion in the cross country. How did he handle? I mean, he looked to obviously do it on his ear, but,
yeah.
but was there any sort of feeling that he was a bit tired, or again he just powers through?
I don't think there's been a day that Clifford's felt tired. I think that's one of the things as eventers we really enjoy about the Thoroughbreds, is that they have a stamina that the warm bloods don't necessarily have. So Clifford, he's actually easier on the jumping day because he's maybe slightly more manageable than what he can be before he's gone cross country. Sometimes we joke at eventing when we have a thoroughbred, it'd be nice if we could go cross country before we do the dressage, because some of the other breeds of horses can be feeling the jelly legs the next day show jumping, but the thoroughbreds like Clifford, they thrive on that. Yeah.
And what's in store for him now? I guess he tells you, as you keep going and go through some more events coming up, that he wants to keep going.
Yeah, very much. It's been like that, for the last few years, in that I have no expectations or no, big plans. He owes me absolutely nothing. He's been an incredible horse. He absolutely loves his job, so I'm not going to retire him before he's ready, because it'll be such a shame for him to be sitting in a paddock when he didn't need to be. But as soon as he's ready for retirement, he'll be having a very happy, comfortable retirement.
And you can see even in the tie-ups here, he wants to be doing something.
Yeah.
He's not going to like being retired, I don't think.
No, he's not. He doesn't. He's having a couple of weeks off after Adelaide, which is very normal after doing a big long format event like this. All the horses need a little bit of a holiday afterwards, and Clifford is sick of his holiday. He wants to be back in work.
Well, we were looking at your other lovely little mare here, Sizzle Nickel, or Just a Nickel by Sizzling, a 5-year-old mare. She had 7 starts, she was unplaced. She's from the family of a Perth Cup winner, Material Man, but she's really fascinating because she's quite a nuggety sort of a short coupled mare, but gee, she moves beautifully. Tell us where you are with her education.
She's just starting her eventing career. She had a win at Canberra a month or 2 ago. She's great on the flat, so that's the dressage component of eventing. Usually the thoroughbred's strength will be in the cross country because of their stamina and speed and the athleticism for jumping. Sometimes not so much a strength in the dressage, but she does have a strength in the dressage. She finds it easy, she's got a great mind for it, and good paces, so that was the trot that you noticed. She's just got a beautiful way of going that really works well for dressage.
And she's already a winner in a dressage class at Equestrian
last
year.
Yes, that's correct. So she went in the new star class, so that's for the horses who've just come off the track that year. And she went out there and was just like an old hand at it, and we had a great weekend. Ash, the owner, and I have really enjoyed the journey with her. She's a great horse to work with, and she's showing a lot of potential for the equestrian disciplines.
And I was going to mention Ash, a gun photographer too. She's got some great photos of the horses and dogs and everything. A passionate owner of this mare, and it's a really important thing to show racing owners, isn't it? The joy that you can have when you watch a horse you're connected to going on and being taken through, whether it's in the show ring, dressage, eventing, show jumping, or a combination of all of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's fun for me as a rider to have an owner who's enjoying the journey and to share it with someone, to be there on when things go well and celebrate, and then to tell you it's not all terrible when it goes badly. It's nice having a team involved with a horse, and I encourage anyone out there who's wants to go on a really fun, meaningful journey with horses to get involved.
Yeah, and stay in contact with that thoroughbred, or help sometimes with the riders, and you know, maybe with some of the costs of it, or it is just so rewarding, isn't it? Are you seeing more owners that seem to be connected when you're seeing more thoroughbreds out and about?
A little bit. I think there's a lot more owners in the racing and less when they move into an Olympic discipline like we're in. But I think maybe that's because it's just not something that is that heard of or talked about. So yeah, it's great to be having this conversation with you, and hopefully we can get some more racing people on board to follow the horses' journeys through to a different career.
And the other thing, of course, is the equestrian riders, and you know, a lot of people obviously would be looking up to you and your thoughts, because you've been so successful with particularly with Willinga Clifford, but overall as a rider, and you've obviously ridden lots of different breeds. What is it, you know, obviously as you said, there's the stamina, but the thoroughbred is a unique animal, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. They're athletes, so I think eventing is three disciplines very much. You need a horse who's an athlete, so it's easy for us to transition them into something like eventing. Plus the speed and the stamina, the toughness, the gritty mentality that we need for cross country is quite often found in a thoroughbred. So I know myself and fellow riders out there will always keep an eye at thoroughbreds off the track, because there are some absolute crackers in there.
What would you advise someone wanting to try and get hold of a thoroughbred off the track? I mean, we always say the trainers just love to hear from people, because they're always wanting to find, the trainers genuinely want to find a good home for these horses. Are there any tips you'd give someone that's thinking, hey, you know, I wouldn't mind taking one on? You need a level of experience, yeah. But what would you say to someone thinking of, hey, where do I start?
They're quite easy to find, horses off the track. They're so it's finding them is not necessarily the hard part. I think there does need to be a level of education to cope with being an owner of any horse, especially when they come off the track, like you said before. They're usually younger, you know, you need a level of experience, and if you don't have that, you need to reach out and look for someone who can help guide you. There's lots of coaches out there to get the best out of a horse. I think a thoroughbred can suit like a lot of different riders. We see them out with amateurs, professionals, like I said, across all different disciplines. So I would encourage people to go down the thoroughbred path. I know I've enjoyed it, and I've had some, you know, success with my thoroughbreds, and I'll definitely be going back looking for more.